This is America's Man's Man, and we're talking for the second day in a row. I never apologize, by the way, for my hair, because I figure if Donald Trump can make his hair work, So, anyway, this is America's Man's Man. We're talking americasmansman.com. By the way, subscribe at the top of the screen on americasmansman.com so that you can receive notifications, because Google will shut down the America's Man's Man official channel. So just get ready for it. We're not gonna make a big deal about it. We're just gonna go to americasmansman.com. So join the ever-growing family of Americans from coast to coast and Hawaii and Alaska who are following America's Man's Man for the latest on what you really need to know about what's going on in Washington. Get out of all the day-to-day back and forth of the Washington peanut galleries and the fake news, all too happy to oblige them. So I did a video, my last video on the Johnson Amendment, my last episode was it was a piece about why the Johnson Amendment kind of needs to go, but it was more context than anything. I didn't even get into the meat of the amendment because there's so much that you have to kind of understand what the Johnson Amendment is all about. So now I want to get a little bit into the actual meat of what it's done and why it's such a problem. So just to recap real quick, the Johnson Amendment, purpose of the thing, ostensibly, is to prevent churches from functioning as illegitimate tax shields for political organizations that are intended to serve the purpose of appropriating religion for the sake of politics, kind of like Nancy Pelosi is doing right now. And with apologies for bad audio there for a moment. Sometimes I keep forgetting to turn the fan off when I record. But the thing is that the kinds of organizations that use the Johnson Amendment are all the people you don't want to be using the Johnson Amendment. So you got, for instance, you got Unitarians and Congregationalists. They don't follow Christ anymore. They believe in some kind of make-believe Jesus Christ. They're kind of like the cult of Mormonism. Like they believe in some kind of Jesus Christ that doesn't exist, who somehow allows all evils, allows everything. I mean, Mormons have their own special brand of crazies, with the magic underwear and everything else. So we're not going to go there. But as far as Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists with the hooves, they get so much federal money. And they do it. They do it because their programs they don't discriminate against protected groups, namely sodomites. Okay. And this is a big thing, especially in Massachusetts, is that they all of a sudden sodomizing someone else is a civil right in their wacky, messed up, fake news, muddled minds, and so the churches that actually follow Christ can't get any of this federal money. So what's the solution? Should we apply the Johnson Amendment more fairly? Because that. That all of those the leftist churches, even down south, that oftentimes the left and the fake news has lauded for their political work. Why? Because it's fake news acceptable political work. So in other words, the fake news media and the federal government don't have a problem, or they haven't had a problem with churches getting involved in politics and elections when it's been for the deep state cause. Barack Obama. Okay, you think there were acorn recruiters in misleading souls and in black and white churches alike in the South, leading up to the election that led us to the imposter in chief, Barack Obama? Of course there were. And but none of these people were caught because they all the deep state saw to it. All of the, anytime someone gets on one of these entitlement programs, they're given a sheet. Oh, by the way, do you want to sign up to register to vote? So all of these kind of do-nothing people are kind of locked into this pattern essentially it's like catch and release for sucking the teat of the federal government, which in the end we're paying for in taxes, you and me. And this is something that it's got to stop, because what happens is that good Christian people that go to church, pastors who are trying so desperately to represent an authentic gospel, and not the fake news gospel, not the politically correct social gospel, which is not really social at all, just or a gospel, nor is social justice actual justice. There are these churches. They're fake churches. They're the ones that have the rainbow flags out in the front. Again, mostly Unitarian Universalist churches are just the beginning of them. It's a theology that waters down the essence of the Bible, waters down the gospel message. Says, oh no, even the Islamic terrorist can find his peace with God without accepting Christ, because we are all on different paths to the same thing. It's New Age thinking. New Age thinking, to quote Zig Ziglar, says, one is all is one, and I am God. And that's. So the Unitarian Universalist, it's not an authentic gospel message. It's certainly not what got this country to where it is today. It's not how you got to be in the best darned exceptional nation in the world that God ever created, surely as he created those little green apples. So it's really a question of you can't enforce the Johnson Amendment fairly. I mean, maybe you can, but would you really want that? That's more federal resources. What are we going to do? Send federal agents into churches to make sure it's being enforced uniformly? So, I mean, you can make a case. You can make a case that, well, gee, maybe we just need to enforce it more fairly. We need to allow the Bible, but that doesn't solve the problem of the vast bureaucratic empire of the deep state, which already exists, from controlling which churches get federal dollars for good programs that actually help poor people, and that sort of thing. And this is the justification that's used for these crazy new agey types of churches getting help from the federal government. That even I would imagine that the Satanic Church over in Salem, Massachusetts, would fit all of the criteria for government program help, because at the Satanic Church, it's literally a satanic church in Salem. I don't know if it's still around. I know obviously it's like just a spoof of Christianity, like Nancy Pelosi is a spoof of a legislator. It's like it's a grand cosmic joke to these folks, because they don't know Christ and they don't give a flork. They don't give a flork because they don't know who God is. They don't know who America is. They don't know that America is founded on God, and so they can't possibly understand what America is all about. Anyway, so Salem, there's a Satanic Church, and like the Unitarian Universalists, the Satanic Church doesn't discriminate against homosexuals, against sodomites. This is number one economy killer here, but they don't care. They want to spread the misery. They want to make it miserable for productive people like you and me, people going out there every day trying to do something good for other people, trying to aid the cause of America, the home of the free and the brave. Isn't this the greatest country in the world? We're going to nip this in the bud, but for all these reasons, pastors need to get behind President Trump. Pastors who are Godward. Now, obviously, if you're one of those churches who is sucking the teat of the federal government, and you're doing so because you're allowing you got two homosexuals in the pulpit kissing and holding hands in the pulpit, saying, "Oh, this is just fine. This is just fine," and your penis belongs in another man's, what? Well, this is. This is not justice. This is not faith. This is a mockery of the authentic American faith, which the Puritans sacrificed and died to sail across that sea. That Columbus and his team risked life and limb, and to sell to good old Queen Isabella, and came over here to found the New World on behalf of civilization, on behalf of God Almighty. So, in sum, Trump Trump, you really got to kind of nip this Johnson Amendment in the bud. Take care of it. Don't wait. Let's get rid of the Johnson Amendment entirely. It'd be better if we didn't have to wait for your next term to do this. But your executive orders. We've seen how silly Barack Obama's are, and how they kind of you can't really enforce them, and how Obamacare has come to a screeching halt in most places. But listen, you got to, President Trump, please, I'm asking you, Mr. President, please get rid of the Johnson Amendment, because there's no way the federal government can enforce it, nor would we ever want to waste the kind of resources that would be required to see that it's enforced fairly. Because right now, it's being used by the radical left for every single worst possible cause imaginable. Sodomy, illegal aliens being imported into the places that they don't belong, and they don't belong. Illegal aliens do not belong in this country. But this is something that these churches. I knew a Catholic church. I actually used to go to it back when I was Catholic, and they would harbor the illegal aliens in Texas. Not good at all. I wonder how many. I was going to say, I wonder how many something you have to something to become a leader in the Roman Catholic Church today. But that'd be a little low, don't you? Bottom line, get rid of the Johnson Amendment. It's just the easiest, most libertarian, most Christian way to deal with things. And Christian and libertarian, at the end of the day, we really do want the same things. Mainly freedom, dignity of the human person, and all the things the Catholic Church used to say it was for, but never really was. This is America's Man's Man. Thanks so much. Again, come on over to americasmansman.com. Don't be left in the dark when Google pulls the plug.